Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Parvizai, and today I will be the first presenter for our group. Our research topic is the influence of Bon Appetit, Majesty, K-drama on viral behavior toward to adoption of Korean food culture among IIUM students. Nowadays, the Korean wave of Hallyu has become a global trend. It doesn't only influence what people watch, but it also how they live, especially when it comes to food choices. In the food genre K-drama like Bon Appetit or Majesty, viewers are consistently exposed to a Korean dishes, cooking sense, and dining culture. Because of this repost exposure, viewers may start to feel curious, interest, or even attracted to the Korean food. For university students, especially those who are very active online like IIUM students, this kind of media exposure can strongly influence their interest and behavior toward a Korean food culture. This is why the study focuses on the influence on this drama on students. Next, we come up with 5 research questions, which is first one, what is the frequencies of exposure to the Bon Appetit Your Majesty K-drama among IIM students? Second, what is the level of interest in Korean food culture among viewers? Third, what is the level of behavioral adoption of Korean food culture among IIM students? Fourth, is there a relationship between media exposure and behavioral adoption of the Korean food cultures? Fifth, how does viewing Bon Appetit Your Majesty influence interest and adoption of Korean food cultures? Therefore, our research have 5 main objectives. First, to examine the frequencies of exposure to Bon Appetit Your Majesty K-drama among IIM students. Second, to identify the level of viewers' interest in a Korean food culture. Third, to determine the level of behavioral adoption of a Korean food culture among IIM students. Fourth, to analyze the relationship between media exposure and behavioral adoptions. 5. To explore how viewing Bon Appetit Your Majesty influence interest and adoption of Korean food cultures. Now, let's move.
Next, we will move on to the hypothesis development. So, from our research, there is 4 hypotheses that we have made. For hypothesis 1, which is non-directional hypothesis, there is a significant relationship between media exposure and behavioral adoption. Next, non-directional hypothesis, where there is a significant relationship between the level of interest and behavioral adoption. For the hypothesis 3, directional hypothesis, as the media exposure increases, the higher the behavioral adoption. And lastly, directional hypothesis, the higher the level of interest in the media, the higher the behavioral adoption. The theoretical framework that we use in this study is the cultivation theory. According to Hamati et al. 2022, cultivation theory is a theory developed by George Kerbener and Larry Cross in 1976 to examine the media effects. Media, in its general sense, means as a mediating agent or a thing, and in a specific sense, it is any means that mediates between the message and the recipient. So, the cultivation theory relates deeply with our variables, which is media exposure, the level of interest, and behavioral adoption.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fatina Dira binti Marzuki and my matric number is 2411744. I will be explaining about the pilot study in our research. So this pilot study examines the relationship between students' exposure and interest in the K-drama Bon Appetit Your Majesty and how it influences the adoption of Korean food culture among IM students. So the pilot study plays an important role in strengthening data collection methods, improving researchers' confidence and expertise, and ensuring the quality of the research process. It also helps assess the internal consistency of the questionnaire by examining the correlation between survey items. Overall, the questionnaire is designed to measure the key research domains, including media exposure, interest in Korean food, and also the behavioral adoption. So now let's take a look on the internal reliability test. So in this table, it shows that all constructs in both the pilot and actual studies were reliable, with Cronbach's alpha values ranging from 0.87 to 0.965 5. So in the pilot study, the highest reliability was found in the behavioral adoption of Korean food culture, followed by interest and exposure to Bon Appetit and Majesty K-drama. In the actual study, on the other hand, although the reliability scores were slightly lower overall, all constructs remain acceptable, with the lowest consistency observed in exposure to the drama and the highest in behavioral adoption. So these results confirm that the questionnaire used in the study is reliable for measuring the intended variables.
Now we will dive into the data analysis and findings. From our survey questionnaire, there are 4 parts, where for the first part is the demographic information. For the demographic information, there are characteristics that we had taken into the questionnaire that we had done. Firstly, gender. For gender, the most respondents are female, where there is 89.3%, which is the number is 134 females. Next, for the male is 10.7%, where there is only 16 males respond. For the age, where we categorize with years old, the highest range of the age is 21 to 23 years old, where there is 57.3%, and the number is 86 people. And next is 18 years old to 20 years old. For that, it is 28%, and the number is 42 people. And lastly, 24 years old to 26 years old. There are 14.7% for the age range, and the number of people is 22. So the total respondents for all is 150. Now, the third demographic characteristic that we use is the kuliah. So the highest respondents are from the kuliah of Ahas KRKHS, Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, kuliah of Islamic Rivet Knowledge, followed by CAMS, which is the economics kuliah. So for the Ahas KRKHS, there is 82 people that responded the questionnaire, which means there is 54.70% of the whole sample that we had conducted. And then for the camps, there is only 13.30%, which is only 20 people that respond, which followed by COED, KICT, ICOL, CAED, COE, and also there's also other kuliah, which is kuliah of pharmacy and KSTCL. Lastly, for the year of study, we only surveyed through the undergraduate students, where it consists first year, second year, third year, and fourth year students. So the highest respondents are the second year students, where there is 62 people, which means there are 41.3% of respondents. Next, the third year students, where there is 40 people, and then the first year students, there is 29 people, and lastly the fourth year students, which only consists 19 people that respond.
Exposure level for the hypothesis testing, a one sample t-test was conducted to examine IIUM students' media exposure to the K-drama Bon Appetit, Your Majesty. Overall, the results show a moderate to high level of exposure with a mean score of 3.56. The highest exposure comes from social media clips and edits with a mean score of 3.95, indicating that students frequently encounter drama content online. Moreover, students also reported frequently watching episodes and rewatching food-related scenes with mean scores of 3.72 and 3.67, both showing significant results. However, following drama-related social media accounts recorded the lowest mean of 3.05 and was not statistically significant. So, students are mainly exposed to drama through social media and repeated viewing behaviors.
Now, let's move on to the finding. Overall, the results show that IIUM students have a high level of interest in the Korean food culture after watching the drama. The highest mean scores come from the statement where students said that they liked the Korean food shown in the drama, such as bibimbap or Syrian pancake. This showed that seeing food repeatedly on the screen really made them like the dish and look attractive to the viewers. Meanwhile, the lowest mean score was from the searching additional information about the food. Even so, the result is still significant, which means students were interested even if not all of them actively searching for more detail or information. We look at the overall result, the mean score is 4.127, which clearly indicated a high level of interest among IIUM students.
So these are the findings of the behavioral adoption variables. So for the behavioral adoption, the highest mean score showed that watching Bon Appetit Your Majesty K-drama helped students learn some Korean words, while the lowest mean score was related to purchasing Korean ingredients after watching the drama. However, as all mean scores were above the midpoint, the findings indicate that exposure to the drama positively influenced students' appreciation, interest, and behavioral adoption of Korean food culture, effectively addressing the research question, which is RQ.
For the last table of findings, which is the bivariate correlation, where we correlate the independent variable and dependent variables towards each other. So from the table above, we have non-controlled variable, and there is only 3 variables that we use. So the media exposure, which is the independent variable one, and behavior adoption, the dependent variable, the correlation is 0.7, which means there is a positive correlation between media exposure and behavioral adoption. Moreover, for the level of interest, which is the independent variable 2, with behavioral adoption, the dependent variable, the correlation is 0.794, which means there is positive correlation between level of interest and behavioral adoption. Lastly, for media exposure, the independent variable 1 and independent variable 2, the correlation is 0.73.
Our discussion showed that media exposure plays a significant role in shaping student interests and behaviors. Consistent with the cultivation theory, repeated exposure to the K-drama Bon Appetit Your Majesty appears to influence student perceptions of Korean food culture and encourages them to adopt related behaviors. Students reported frequently watching episodes, engaging with social media content, and rewatching food-related scenes, which increased their curiosity and appreciation for Korean cuisines. This engagement translated into real-life behaviors such as trying Korean dishes, cooking at home, visiting Korean restaurants, and sharing experiences online. Overall, the study found positive correlation between media exposure, interest in drama, and behavioral adoption, showing that greater exposure and interest are associated with higher engagement in Korean food culture. These findings highlight that the combined role of K-drama and social media in cultivating both perceptions and actions.
Conclude, the study showed that Bon Appetit Your Majesty play an important role in shaping IIUM student interest and behavior toward the Korean food culture. Through continued exposure to the food-related scenes, students develop a consistency and positive feeling toward a Korean culture. This interest often leads to a real-life action such as trying Korean food, visiting Korean restaurants, or even cooking Korean dishes by themselves. This finding also supports a cultivation theory which explains how long-term exposure to a media content can influence people's attitude and everyday behaviors. Overall, the study highlights that food-themed K-drama are not just entertainment, they also act as a cultural platform that influence food preference and lifestyle choice among university students, especially IIUM students.
For the recommendation, this study was conducted over a short period with limited survey design and analysis. Future research should allocate more time for the survey development and data collections, ideally in a relaxed and distraction-free environment to ensure accurate and authentic responses. Future study could also expand the sample to include students from multiple university or cultural contexts, which would provide a better understanding of media influence on food-related behaviors. Finally, adapting to a strong theoretical framework, linking media exposure, interest, and behavior, more practical insights into how media shape cultural engagement.